Kev, let's bring him right on if he's good with that. And that way we can get him back to his business.
That works, man. I was like, take the time. I can listen to the Matt Mosley Show a little bit.
I appreciate it. I started with Cowboys, which when in doubt, always start with the Cowboys. But really where my heart was yesterday, and Kevin told me, he's like, Matt, I reached out to Cam, because I thought with our hockey and stuff, and I said, Kevin, well done. Well done, buddy, because Cam is perfect to have on.
That's not what he said. He insulted me for doing something without his approval, but that's fine.
Well, of course, Kevin, we need to lay some ground rules. Of course, Mosley, he's got to stand. He learns from the Parcells school. If everything was, we'd have a team full of exceptions if we didn't have standards.
But I mean, after jumping on Kevin a little bit for not consulting me, I did say I like the idea. Okay, but
let's talk America's team.
Yeah, I would. And of course, the lens you watch through is interesting because you're sitting there watching the Canadians and the Americans, and you're seeing it through your NHL eyes, and like that guy plays for this team, and this guy's in Winnipeg, and we got first of all, Cam, how'd you take it in? Was it just at home? Was it a thing where you wanted to be around other people? Was the fair grace around? Like, what was your viewing situation like? And did you have did you put any Team USA gear on? How did you, because you're a guy who likes to put a good hockey jersey on. Maybe it was one of the USA players from the Bruins. I don't know. How did you experience this unbelievable gold medal game?
Well, let's go through the fits first, because I definitely did. I've been living in my USA jersey. I've got a couple of them near me. I got the 1981 on right now. I've got the Mike Ruzioni one. I do have a blue 1980 Jim Craig one. And then just out of reach is the one I was wearing yesterday and Friday and barely took it off, which is not a Bruins player, but a Mass native, Jack Eichel, North Chelmsford, Massachusetts, Boston University. So I rep my local guys, and it was at home. It was just, I went to a bar on Friday afternoon, decent little crowd there. And there were some open around here for the 8 a.m. puck drop. But I wasn't sure where was actually open, what the snow was going to be like. Turns out we didn't get the snow until nighttime. And me, Matt, I'm a pretty intense guy. So I'm like, this would probably be good for me to just sit in the living room, be able to pace, be able to go to the bathroom when I have to go to the bathroom. The Fair Grace did check in a little bit. She watched basically the whole third period in overtime with me, but was checking in. And we watched it from the comfort of our own home. And it was something special, man. It was something special. That was Matt, as a fan, I've done a lot of winning in my lifetime. All right. I've seen a lot of winning. But this was a top 5 sports moment for me. I think that was pretty huge. That was pretty huge for me.
See, I was a 7-year-old, and little Cam at 7 was already watching a lot of this stuff when the Lake Placid Olympics happened. And so I think I have some vague memories of Al Michaels shouting out, "Do you believe in miracles?" And by the way, Scott Drew will do his best Al Michaels impersonation later today on the show. And Cam, you're a man that Locked On Baylor does great numbers. I will tell you, I think you will. And again, you know how Scott can be. He will do the whole, what do you call that? Filibuster. He will filibuster you a little bit on answers every once in a while. So you got to kind of really stay on him about things. But I did bring up IU went and hired an NBA GM kind of guy today. And I brought that up. Hey, would you consider this? And where is Baylor in NIL right now? Where do they rank? Are they in the middle of the pack? Today, we just had a great conversation, but it was also really direct on a lot of things and some positive stuff because they did get a win the other day.
They did.
We're so in tune to wanting teams like the Mavericks. The Mavericks accidentally beat the Pacers. The Pacers you can't lose to the Pacers. You could try, but even the Mavs could not do that. And we're going to make Kevin mad because he's a big Pacers fan. And by the way, Kevin, if I ever insult you, I promise you'll know it. All right. So we may need another word choice on that. Yes. Okay. Yes, because that was the least insulting thing I've done today. All right. But back to this, Kevin. Cam, last night I had to go back. You would have been proud of me. I just sat down because NBC late night showed the game again. And I just sat. It was after the closing ceremonies, which, by the way, I didn't know what was going on there. My wife loved it. There was a lot of Italian opera, and there was some weirdness. And Figaro got involved, and I'm just I got to go to the grocery store. I was like inventing things to go do because the closing ceremonies was kind of freaking me out. Just weird, a lot of weird. But it's at the Coliseum, so that was kind of cool. I will say that. I don't think they gave Rome anything but that. They're like, all the stuff's going to be down here in Milan and Cortina. We'll go do the deal at the Coliseum. Y'all can have that. The hockey, I watched the whole third period, and even knowing the outcome, I still had those huge anxious moments. And you know what I'm talking about. First of all, you would look up at shots on goal, and it was unbelievable. It was like 42-20, and at one point it was like 35-16 or 17. And at one point in the third period, it was like the first 5 or 10 minutes, the USA got off like one shot on goal. It was like, I know what Canada is saying they're trying to say we outplayed them. Well, they certainly outshot the Americans. All right.
Yep.
But again, it's how many go in, right? But when you look back on it, and like you saw McKinnon, and it looked like that goal was like wide open over there, and he missed it. The play of Hellebuck, and you kind of know his story.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I had read that in the past there were maybe in the NHL some huge moments where he didn't show up. I just don't think you brought up Craig earlier.
Yeah.
We don't have many moments to look back on in our history where somebody did that. I don't know that anybody's ever done what he did.
It was, I mean, the most overused word in sports is unbelievable. But when you watch it back the second time, I think you're probably thinking something is unbelievable the way he's keeping it out. And I'll give you an NFL example. Connor Hellebuck, in a lot of ways, is like Josh Allen. And he's won 3 Vezinas. He won the Vezina and the MVP award last year. Hellebuck did, so best goalie and MVP. And he's got a terrible record in elimination games. He's 1-6 in elimination games, but he's played pretty well in almost all of them. .915 save percentage in those, and anything over 900 in a game of that magnitude is like, for that stretch of 7 games is fairly good. So it's not like he's been terrible, but he's had 1 or 2 that weren't very good, much like Josh Allen against the Broncos this past year. So it would be like, Allen getting to the Super Bowl and throwing for 500 yards and winning a game 38-35. Like, Connor Hellebuck is the reason they won that game. And I do love the whole thing about, Canada was the better team and they outplayed them. And I'm like, I'm not going to argue with you. Like, they did outplay him most of the game, but I'll lean on your fandom a little bit, Matt. Pirates, great. Bill Mazeroski, we lost him over the weekend. His team in 1960 in the World Series, I believe, got outscored. It was like 40-18 in the 7-game series, and they won. So it doesn't matter how much you outplayed them if you don't win. And Hellebuck is the biggest reason why they won. We had the picture up there a minute ago, but that save on Devon Taves with the paddle down is, again, I'm speaking in hyperbole, but it might well be the greatest save I've ever seen, considering the circumstance and the bang nature of it, and the fact that there's just no margin for error against a team like that in that situation. And you get lucky with McKinnon missing the net. You get lucky with the too many men on the ice call that was not called against the U.S. It should have been a penalty. It should have been a Canadian power play. But what Hellebuck did, it would be like if Josh Allen gets to a Super Bowl and goes absolutely nuclear. But worse yet, it would be like if Josh Allen there's no real comparison in football, but think about this, Matt. Hellebuck's 1-6 in elimination games, and he's doing it for the Winnipeg Jets. So these Jets fans are watching on like the coldest city on the planet in Winnipeg, and they're like, really? This is the time this guy pulls it out? This is the time the guy's a brick wall in a game 7 when it's against Canada? It's got to be brutal for them. I don't feel, but it's got to be brutal for them.
That's a good point. And there were those moments when he was skating around with the U.S. flag, draped around him over his back. It just brought back those iconic memories. And obviously you've seen the old footage and you've read about that team and you've watched the movie, and to see something again, those were a ragamuffin, great college players going up against the freaking Cold War Russians. That was a different animal on this deal. These are great players, but still this is a horrible loss for Canada. It's just like if the Americans had lost, it would have been tough, but American society would all go back to hollering at each other and being mad and putting stuff on Facebook, right?
Yep.
And now we just get to celebrate, and the White House gets to put out something where they dunk on the Canadians. It's just kind of. Now, let me ask you this. Jack Hughes, sorry. Jack Hughes and then Quinn Hughes, first of all, to get that high sticking and knock out the front teeth and chipped. And I had that, by the way, skiing one time. I had that look going down, but like, it's an unbelievable story. It's like everything you learn about this team, then there's another layer, right? His mom is a developmental coach for the U.S. women that won gold. His mom was a 12-year-old playing playing on a really good boys team back in the day. And you've probably seen footage of that. Like these are like huge hockey families. But that was just, again, to hear him after the game and the way he was putting it. I think there's this thought, Cam, that, hey, these are all millionaires and again, he was picked first overall. He's a great player. But the patriotism and the love of country was like pouring out of these dudes after the game. And to me, what an iconic photo that's going to be forever. With his teeth, with his tooth, his teeth cracked, and there he is. But what an unbelievable moment for him.
Yeah. And I like your point there about, hearing these guys after the game, because they're unfortunately going to take a lot of criticism for it. Probably not as much as in the real world as what we see online, but these guys really do care about the country and the development of the sport in the country. These guys really feel proud to put the USA jersey on. And we saw it last year with the Four Nations tournament, which was something that, was kind of thrown together by the NHL. Like, we didn't know how seriously these guys were going to take it, and they took it really, really seriously. And so that's why you got kind of this year-long buildup in the hockey community for this coming up. But these guys really, they understand. This is I'm sure something that your daughter could teach you, this phrase, but they understood the assignment. They understood what they were doing. They understood what kind of torch they were carrying for the guys that came before them, for themselves, for the country, and I guess most importantly for the guys that come after them. The U.S. has been the bridesmaid for so long, and they've been bullied by Canada for so long, and quite frankly, it was the one thing that Canada could kind of hold over them in terms of their greatest export is hockey, and I don't know if it's close. And the U.S. finally beating them at their own game, that is a huge deal for these guys. And for Jack Hughes to score it, I said it on the Wicked Boston show today, which was, Matt, exclusively Olympic hockey. I didn't plan for it to be that way, but it just happened to be that way. But specifically for Jack Hughes to score it, you mentioned his mom, his brother's the best player on the team, so there's that. But the reason why the U.S. has closed the gap so much in the last 15 years or so is quite frankly, their financial commitment. And the U.S. National Development Team program, which starts at, U7 all the way up to U20, that can develop these kids for the next level, to get them the best facilities, the best coaching, the best competition, the best tournaments. And Jack Hughes is one of the poster children for that program. You know, he went through it all the way. He, even in his draft year, he did not go to major Canadian junior hockey like most of the top prospects do. He did not go to college hockey in the United States like a lot of the best American prospects do, and still the best prospects do today. He stayed with this program all the way throughout, got drafted first overall, and like, he is the guy that so many of these young American players will look up to. And there's still questions for him in terms of the New Jersey Devils and, you know, how physically he can play in the Stanley Cup playoffs. And he didn't play well in the Four Nations last year, probably because of the physical nature. But like, he just scored the second biggest goal in the history of American hockey. Like that is exactly what the National Development Program can circle and put on their posters and put in their email newsletters for years to come. And when they win the gold again in 2042, you know, there's going to be a bunch of kids that say, I got into this sport because of Jack Hughes scoring that goal and, you know, missing some chiclets and having blood all on his face with the American flag over his shoulders. Like, this is Rocky IV in real life.
Isn't it amazing to think that they fly back, and I think they diverted it because of the storm you were just referencing earlier.
Yeah.
And they're going to go to Miami, but they all like start up again on Wednesday. Today's Monday. The other teams at least have gone home, you know.
But this coach has to coach the New York Rangers after this. I mean, what a punishment after winning the gold medal. You got to coach that. You got to be around that team.
I was going to ask you, like, there was some criticism when he was putting the team together that it was too like people criticized him for the way. So like, you'll know this. Mm-hmm. Who was kind of left off that people were critical of, and why were they critical of Sullivan for the way he constructed the roster? What was the problem? What were people critical of?
Yeah, so I think a lot of hockey fans felt, and I actually felt this to a certain extent too, that they were going too much for grit when really you could just put the 20 most talented players in the country on the team. And some of the guys they missed out on, Cole Caulfield was one, a guy who plays for Montreal, who is like, ironically enough, or coincidentally enough, a 3-on-3 specialist. Like, he's got the most overtime goals in the NHL since they've gone to 3-on-3 overtimes in regular season games. And it's controversial that they did 3-on-3 overtime for these knockout games, which I don't love them doing that at the Olympics. So you leave that guy at home. He's like the most prolific 3-on-3 player in the league. The other one, Dallas Stars, Jason Robertson, most goals by an American the last year. He's got 30 again or whatever it is. Like, he's a terrific player, and they were like, he's too slow, which is hilarious because the ice rink, as opposed to other Olympics, the ice surface this year was smaller than the NHL rink. And so they thought about having these guys like JT Miller and Vincent Trocheck, who are two New York Rangers who play for the Rangers coach, obviously. And they're guys who have not been having good years. They don't have elite offensive skill. They can muck it up in a tournament where the game does not allow for as much checking as it does in the NHL. And they ended up being somewhat right. I think Cole Caulfield and Jason Robertson certainly would have helped and improved this team's offense. But those two guys, Trocheck and Miller, were integral on the penalty kill. And it's a penalty kill that went 18 for 18 across the tournament. That is a huge reason why they won the thing.
Man, I'm glad you were able to be there, focus on it like you did. I wish you had been over there. Actually, I think that would have been kind of cool. I mean,
I did say
Super Bowl. I'm surprised we didn't send you over there.
I thought about that. I had Corey. I had a couple of phone calls into Corey, see if we can get me out to Milan. Could have got some great content. I said,
good luck hearing back from him.
Would have loved to. Would have
Yeah.
loved to. I did say to the Fair Grace before this tournament,
Yeah.
if they don't win the gold medal, we should go to the games in 2030 in the lovely French Alps, so that it would be like we're chasing it together. But fortunately or unfortunately, they have won. So I guess it wouldn't be the same.
All right. And then, by the way, last thing, that emotional moment with the guy they called Johnny Hockey, I guess, Johnny Gaudreau, was his jersey was out there. And I mean, I remember that story, Cam, but then it brought back, and the fact that his brother also, I mean, I'm just thinking of the horrible tragedy for that family, but for his parents to be there and his, his wife and little kids. I mean, the toddlers were down there for the picture with their dad's jersey. I mean, that was an emotional deal. Johnny Gaudreau, I guess the way they were phrasing that was that he was projected. They told the family, hey, we had him projected to be on this team. Obviously, that tragedy happened, I think, as far back as maybe 2024.
Yep.
But seeing that, man, wasn't that? It was remarkable. But tell me, what kind of player was he? Was Gaudreau? Because I remember that horrible thing happening, but I can't say that I have a great feel for what kind of player he was.
Yeah, I would bet that Johnny Gaudreau would have been on this team. This is the most talented American team ever, so that's no small feat. But he played in a time where they hadn't gone back to best on best yet, and so he missed out kind of playing for the USA throughout most of his NHL career. But he was a dynamic playmaking winger, and so you saw a lot of the Gaudreau prototypes on this team. Someone like Jake Gensel, who's in the middle of the picture there, the blonde, who's a big time scorer for them, or Kyle Connor up top, who didn't play very much, but is a prolific scorer in the NHL. Johnny Gaudreau fits that mold very well, and even better than some of the guys on the team do. Like I think for sure he would have been on this team. That's a guy I got to see play live a lot in college. He played at BC. And he won the Hobie Baker College Hockey's Heisman Trophy. And he was electric, Matt. Like it's tough to say there are rock stars in college hockey because it's a niche sport, but Johnny Gaudreau was one. And that's where he got the Johnny Hockey nickname. And so this moment yesterday, man, it wasn't just a fluke like, hey, this is the friend of a guy on the team. Like he would have been there and in that moment. And he, I think, contributed a lot to the advancement of American guys in the NHL. Like he was still a big part of that in this kind of golden generation. And I came very close to losing it when they had the kids out there on the ice, man. I mean, that what a moment that obviously they'll be able to appreciate years and years later. And, I mean, the other thing too, is I think they were at the Four Nations final, which was in Boston last year. But they lost that one to Canada. And so, the family's done a lot of these kind of things with the Blue Jackets and Team USA over the last year. So I think you'll appreciate this, Matt. Like that's kind of a tough ask to say, hey, can we get you guys out here to Italy to do this? And to a certain extent go through all of this. I know the family loves this to on one hand, but on the other hand, it's two of your sons and your brothers that you're thinking of and you're trying to go there to represent. And, there's that feeling of what if they don't win, and what if, we're kind of going through that again. And, not that it's as tragic as what actually happened to the brothers, but you're like, that would be tough to see these guys, playing for them and losing at the last hurdle. So it made it just a one-of-one moment to see the kids out there and the jersey out there. It was really, really special.
So if you were going to get a jersey now from somebody from this team, who would you want? Jack Hughes because of the golden goal and the 5-hole, or which way would you go? His brother, perhaps?
I was going to say, we'll have
out there a lot.
I think it's going to have Hughes on the back. I would probably go. Quinn is one of my favorite players in the league. And and it was awesome to see him do it in, the afternoon Eastern time, because he's played in Vancouver most of his career. So it's been a lot of late nights watching him. But I just think he's a phenomenal transformative player. And it's so fascinating to see a kid that's about 5'10", 180 and is the second best defenseman in the world. Like he doesn't get knocked off the puck very much. He's so skilled offensively. But Jack, that is a collector's item if you get the Jack Hughes one, right? Like this is the goal. This is the jersey. This is the moment. It's like having a white Mike Eruzione one from 1980, but I'd go with Quinn Hughes, and who knows, Matt, you know me, I got plenty of jerseys. I might have to get another one.
Yeah.
Commemorate this moment.
Man, I'm glad. It was very exciting. And it again impacted my church attendance yesterday.
Sure.
And I feel horrible about that, obviously, but great to celebrate. And then again, you know me, not a huge hockey guy. I was watching it again last night. And
that's
watching it again, knowing it's coming is the cool thing, because like you get in the third period and we all kind of know how this goes. Because I've seen enough Stars playoff overtimes where sometimes you settle in for what could be, additional overtimes, right?
Yeah.
But so you kind of condition yourself, this could go for a while, and then for it to happen so suddenly and so quickly,
it could have been over in 30 seconds. Like Quinn had that great chance 20 seconds, 25 seconds in. Yeah, that 3-on-3 though, Matt, that's what they're trying to do. They got closing ceremonies, so 3-on-3. Let's get this thing over with.
Somebody went in there, and I love that. Was it McAvoy or somebody? Like there was one. Hellebuyck obviously was unbelievable in that game, but like somebody went in there when Hellebuyck couldn't get back to it and turned one of those away.
It was
Who
McAvoy.
Was that? It was McAvoy.
Boston Bruin Charlie McAvoy.
Nice.
Boston University Terrier as well.
Could be a jersey too. You may have to get several of these. Yeah.
I'm not above that.
Well, I bet, don't you know Aaron and Baxter and Stretch in that gang? There'll be a lot of good hockey talk over there. All right, Cam, appreciate you, buddy. Always great to have you on. Listen to that Scott Drew, and
will do. Feel
free to use some of it on Locked In, and then it's and then Bears play the number. I think Duke's now the number 1 team in the country. Arizona just beat the number 2 team in the country, so I assume Arizona is the number 2 team in the country. I don't know if you've taken a peek at that yet, but they are coming to Waco tomorrow. So,
yeesh.
At least Koa is not playing, right?
Yeah, the almost bear Koa Pete. So that could have been a tough pill to swallow.
Jeez.
Yeah.
God, forget all
Koa and DeBonsa both had them in their final 3 or so, but that's old news.
Who's that European we're looking for? Don't we have somebody from Slovenia or Croatia or something?
Yeah.
7-foot something guy.
Countries. Yeah. You gotta give me some time to practice the name.
Who's that Arizona State 7-footer that is like can shoot threes and dribble and stuff? Who is that guy from the other day? That's on that. Is it Diop or something?
Diop.
Is his name Diop?
Diop. Yeah, you say it fast. Diop. It's like French.
Diop. Yeah. Can we get that guy to transfer?
Monaco.
By the way, after my talk with Scott, we do need to get him some more money. I could sense what he was trying to tell me was like, we got to have some more cash. So we'll reach out.
You can get Chip on the phone.
We'll get everything. Certainly don't know who that is. Okay, buddy.
Thanks, Matt.
All my best. I'm glad what I told Kevin to do this morning, get Cam and get him immediately.
That's great coaching right there.
Appreciate you, buddy.
That's great coaching.
All right. There he goes. Cam Stuart on the old Mosley Show, and excellent stuff.